back, Tiger fans, to Rockin' Radio's football podcast. I'm Nate Edwards. That's Brandon BK Kiley. Yeah, I said Brandon BK Kiley. This is before the box score. He's back. He's back. Well, if it's not it's not August unless BK comes back to the podcast and talks about Mizzou football, because we hear him talk about all sports at 101 ESPN. You get to read about the Chiefs. You get to hear about the Cardinals and the Blues. It's like, where's Mizzou? Where's Mizzou? And BK's talking live. So I, a good dude, invited BK back on the show. He took the offer. Here he is. BK, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's so good to be back with you, Nate. I appreciate you having me on today. It is a void in my life right now. Now, I still write about Mizzou for anybody that is interested. You can find that. It's over in the Alton Telegraph during the course of the football season. I'll be starting that up, I think, in about 2 weeks from now. I'll be writing my first column, and I'll do a column weekly for them. So if you're interested, go ahead and subscribe to the Alton Telegraph. But it's just like Mizzou. You know how deeply I care about the University of Missouri and specifically the football program. In St. Louis, this is Cardinals season, and the Blues were a really big deal this summer. So Mizzou stuff kind of got put to the back burner. Now I think they're going to become a much bigger part of our lives post trade deadline, which we're recording this on Wednesday night. Trade deadline's taking place tomorrow, so I think things will start to settle in there. But yeah, it's been a minute, man. We have not done a ton of Mizzou football. I can't wait to talk about it. Not only do I find this Mizzou football season fascinating for them, I find it fascinating for the SEC at large. It's a really compelling group of teams, and really from like 4 until 12-ish, they're all kind of interchangeable. So I can't wait to talk about it with you, man. I'm really curious to see where you kind of land on some of these things.
Yeah, and there's still so much to get used to. We're still trying to figure out what exactly life is in the portal, what exactly rosters are going to be, what exactly the Blue Bloods are going to do. Is it still high school? Is it still roster? You know, what is the best way of doing things? And obviously everyone's going to fall out in different ways, but, you know, the roster construction, because when you talk college sports, you're talking about talent acquisition, and there's now a second way of doing it. And now that the COVID seniors are out, you don't have any more 27-year-old quarterbacks to go to. You don't have any of those older guys that coaches really love because of the certainty. Now you're really put feet to the fire. How do you want to build your roster now? Almost every team's got a GM now, on top of development of player personnel. You've got coaches who, you know, throwing fits about losing their kicker to Alabama. Like it is just a wild time to be a college football fan. And there's just a lot of uncertainty, and on top of, you know, expansion of the playoff and the paying the players. So it would be nice if everyone could just stop changing things for like 2 years so you could like kind of find your footing, but that ain't gonna happen. So we're gonna roll with it the way it is. But yeah, you know, as far as, you know, let's talk about last year real quick. I'm not sure if we ever really got your thoughts. You know, Missouri finishes with 10 wins. Somehow it feels disappointing. Where did you stand on a second 10-win season back to back?
I can't be disappointed by 10-win seasons at Mizzou. I can't. I won't allow myself to do it. And there will come a point in time if Drinkwitz, and we'll talk a little bit more about where he's at as a coach, where this program's at. We'll look a little big picture. But there may be a time where that ends up happening. The same way, like right now as a Chiefs fan, I'm disappointed when they don't win the Super Bowl, right? Like that is the aspiration. Every year the goal is very simple. Did you win the Super Bowl or not? If you won it, it was a success. If you didn't, it was a disappointment. Maybe we'll get there as Mizzou fans, but man, we grew up with this program, and it wasn't like this. It was quite different. And now they go into every season, and you're like, yeah, 8 wins. 8 wins is kind of where like you set that baseline of get there, and then we'll see how much more you can get. I think what was weird about last season for me was twofold. One, there's just so many close games, and that's obviously a Mizzou thing. That's the Drinkwitz way. He wins close and loses big. And then 2, losing big. That Alabama and Texas A&M game, like you lost the 2 games that really stood out on your schedule. And so you never really last season had the one game that you can point to and say, like, we beat that team, and that means we were a good team. They almost had it, dude. They almost had it against South Carolina. You go on the road, beat that quarterback in that environment, like, okay, you feel like you really were able to accomplish something. But their best win on the season was what? Vandy? Oklahoma?
Vandy. Vandy.
That's fine. Vandy was a good team. They beat other good teams. So, like, you didn't lose to them. You avoided the disaster. But I think that's really what left you wanting more, is there was something more on the table there for you, given what the SEC was, given what your schedule was a year ago. And I think that's why it felt kind of unfulfilling despite winning 10 games. And so I left feeling unfulfilled, but not disappointed, because I can't be disappointed by a 10-win season.
Yeah. Actually, it might be Iowa. Iowa might have been the best win.
But even that one, they had like 100 quarterbacks missing, and their starting running back wasn't in that game. So, like, it's just a weird thing.
But I mean, they beat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They beat 5 teams with winning records. That was Buffalo with 9, Boston College with 7, Vandy with 7, Arkansas with 7, and then Iowa with 8. Like, that's it. That's all they did.
Reminder, you don't have to be great to go 9-3 in the SEC. Just like, I think sometimes people make this conference into something that it's not. And listen, it's great. It's the best conference in the land. I'm not trying to suggest otherwise, but that's it. Like, what you just said, what you just laid out there, if you have the schedule laid out the right way, you don't have to beat the great teams on your schedule. This was the Gary Binkle way, dude. Beat the teams that are your peer programs. Beat the teams that are below you. You go 8-4, 9-3 every year.
Yep.
Every year.
Every year.
And if you can pull off an upset or two, now suddenly you're in the college football playoff conversation, right? Like, especially in this conference, you get to 9 or 10 wins, you're in the conversation. And if you get to 10, you're probably in, given the expansion of the playoff and the way that it is now. So, yeah, it makes for some exciting times if you're a Mizzou fan, but also last year left you saying, like, really? There wasn't another win on the table there? There was. They just let it go.
So close. It was not supposed to happen that way, right? The lucky horseshoe up Eli Drinkwitz's butt's supposed to activate in that situation and give him a win. And
I was at a wedding that night in Kansas City. One of my best friends got married that night. And so I would, like, during the end of the game, this is how I was able to internalize everything that was taking place. I didn't see any of it. None of it. None of it live. The last 10 minutes of, or no, the last, like, 3 minutes of the game, they had started speeches. And so, like, the bride's dad did a 30-minute speech.
Whoa.
Yeah. Not exaggerating, like an actual 30-minute speech. And this all took place right after Mizzou scored that final touchdown, where I was like, oh my God, Mizzou's going to win this game. Like, Burden just had his moment. This is it. Like, this is the Brady Cook moment. This is the Burden moment. They're going to be remembered for this. They're going to be in play for the college football playoff. Like, everything is still there on the table for them. And I hadn't seen anything. I hadn't heard any, like, phones in my pocket, right? And so the next thing that I look at after they have finished this 30-minute speech is I go to my phone, because it's been buzzing for the whole time that this guy's been up there talking. And I'm like, what is going on? This is like, I guess something crazy must have happened. They must have, like, a fumble 6 again, the way that it did the week prior, right?
Yeah.
I look at my phone and, of course, see what had taken place. And I was like, you've got to be bleeping kidding me. There's no way they lost like that. So, yeah, that was my experience watching South Carolina, as told, I don't know, 10 months later.
I was in my basement. It made me sad. I was surprised. I will say it. I was surprised. I'm surprised Eli Drinkwitz lost a 1-score game. I'm surprised he lost to South Carolina. I'm surprised it happened like that. I was surprised, frankly. Just surprised. But yeah, okay. So that's kind of how we end last year. Now we're heading into a new year, pretty much almost a fully rebuilt offense. Some really interesting pieces onto what should be a nasty defense. And now we're sitting here and we're thinking to ourselves, all right, so what exactly do we have here? And that's probably the toughest question to ask in college football now, because you just never really know, given the amount of movement and player acquisition. But tonight, I am going to ask BK some word association questions. Just give him some ramp to go. I know he's got the takes ready to fire, and he's been looking for an outlet, so here we go. I'm just going to go through these questions. You fill in the blank as you see fit. We will start at the top with the top man, our nerdy little fat little head football coach. BK, Eli Drinkwitz is blank.
Eli Drinkwitz is a program builder. That is the way that I would describe him. I think when he first got to Mizzou, the way that I would have described him would have been very different. I would have described him as a young, hotshot offensive mind. And I think he has evolved into something very different. And what he has evolved into is a culture builder, a program builder, a guy that has become a CEO of a football team in a way that I didn't foresee. This is very Gary Pinkel-esque. There was a point in time where Gary was considered to be that, like, hey, this guy, what an offensive mind, right? And then by the end of his time at Mizzou, like, he was a culture builder. He was a program builder. He had built that family atmosphere that everybody wanted to be a part of. And I think that's where Drinkwitz has arrived. I think he's there. I think he has built a heck of a program. I think it is self-sustaining now. I think he knows what kind of talent he needs in order to win in this conference. I think he knows the type of athletes that he needs to win in this conference. I think he has adjusted extremely well. I think he does a really good job of hiring coaches. I think that's one of the most underrated aspects of his ability as a head coach is to identify even guys that are like under the radar, guys that have come from smaller programs or hadn't been given the chance in that specific job title before. We all knew early on, hey, he's a pretty good recruiter, salesman, very good offensive mind. Don't know where this is going to go. And I think he's built himself into one heck of a coach. And I think as a program builder, for me, comfortably a top 20-ish coach in college football right now. If you were to list guys that you could start your program with today, I would be hard-pressed to come up with 20 names before I get to Eli Drinkwitz.
No, you said before that you think he's a top 5 recruiter in the nation. Do you still believe that?
I think so. I think it's changed, though, in the way that he's recruiting. I think Drinkwitz is really smart with roster building. And we've talked about this in the past, Nate, of kind of early on, it frustrated us a little bit of like recruiting portal guys over some of the higher level talent that they had recruited out of high school. I think what he has become is a guy that understands, all right, the game has changed. I have this portal available to me. I can either go out and get high school kids. I have no idea if they're going to be good at the college level. I have no idea if they have, honestly, the makeup to be good at the college level as much as the actual ability to do it. Or I can go to the portal. I can get a kid that's similarly talented, and I've seen him do it against other kids at this level. And I think he's prioritizing the second bucket right now. And I think part of that is money. I think part of that is the more feeling guaranteed in terms of the performance that you're going to be able to get on that side of things. So yes, I still feel like he is an excellent recruiter. I don't know that that will be reflected any longer in the high school recruiting rankings. I think that it has changed. I think he has adjusted where his priorities lie. And dude, just like in the NFL, you've got a cap. You've only got so much money to be able to utilize in any given season. So I think more of that money, if it was like 80-20 going to high school versus the portal, I think now it is maybe closer to like 60-40, 70-30 going towards the portal and retaining your players that you already had on your roster.
Yeah. Now, obviously, just the legality around the NCAA rules has helped, but I think however you want to slice it, whether it's high school or portal, I think Eli Drinkwitz was a top flight recruiter even before any of that, because guess what? He got Missouri people to buy into what he's looking at, which has been really, really tough for prior Missouri coaches to do. I was talking to a friend of mine who said that he thought Gary Pinkel was a better recruiter than Eli Drinkwitz because, and his argument was that if Pinkel had this sort of money, he would have been able to do the same thing. My retort was, yeah, Pinkel couldn't get that money, and Drinkwitz could. What is that? That's recruiting, baby. That's selling yourself. That's selling the program. That's building it up. So I agree with you. The fact that he can get people to buy into his vision, both from an investment standpoint, from a player standpoint, either high school or portal. I don't care how you get the talent, just get it. Field the best team you can and get it done. And the fact that he's got 2 Georgia edge rushers, a Florida defensive tackle, a great safety from been in a couple schools, but Arkansas, you replace Luther Burden with Kevin Coleman. Like this is a dude who can find the talent and bring it back. I don't care how you do it. Just get it. And I think he's shown that he can do that.
He's got a guard that might be a future top 75 pick who spurned you out of high school and then comes back to play for you and become an all-conference level player. Like, yeah, that's the kind of stuff that is not easy to find.
It's not. So going from the big guy, let's look at his lieutenants here. I want to go to the offensive side first. Kirby Moore will be entering his third year on the job. And we've seen the first 2 seasons. So now, heading into year 3, Kirby Moore's job is blank.
I love this question for a lot of different reasons, but most importantly because I didn't have a great answer for it. And so I'm curious your thoughts on it. My answer that I went with is to develop the next quote-unquote franchise quarterback. I think that's the single most important thing for Mizzou right now is to get it right at the quarterback position. And I'm not just talking about for 2025, because it might be true that Matt Zollers is actually the next guy long term, right? Like it's possible Sam Horn wins the job this year. He's gone. Prabula decides either to like stick around or to transfer. That's possible. And Zollers is the guy next year. And they continue to develop him because they seem to really like him. They seem to believe that he's very talented. He was certainly highly thought of coming out of high school. So whatever that means, his job is to develop the next franchise quarterback. But I think you could take this in a lot of different directions. What came to mind for you?
Your answer is a smarter answer. Mine is more emotional, which I don't think most people would tab us that way. Kirby Moore's job is to get people excited again. You know, he came in year 1.
I disagree. I like that answer.
We were uncorking these bombs to Luther Burden and Marquise Johnson, and Theo Weiss was high-pointing balls, and Cody Schrader was thumping and pounding and pumping his little white boy arms as fast as he could. And we were like, oh my God, we've unlocked the offense. We've been waiting for this from Eli Drinkwitz for years, and Kirby Moore comes in year 1, and he did it. Yeah. And then you return everybody but Cody, and it just felt like such a slog last year. You know, is you didn't have that confidence. You didn't have that excitement when the offense took the field. Like they were still almost as good as they were the previous year, just in a completely non-explosive way. And so it was kind of boring. There wasn't a lot of flash. And I think for him, I don't think Eli Drinkwitz is sitting there going, you know, Kirby, you're down 7 excitement units. I need you to generate 7 more excitement units this year or you're fired. He's saying, give me an offense that's going to win and put our defense in a position to win. That's all he cares. But from a fan standpoint, from a confidence standpoint, you know, you're getting a bunch of new guys in here and not everyone knows what exactly it's going to look like. Get them excited. You know, get some big plays, obviously score points, but like, I think there's an unsettledness because the last thing we saw was just so murky and now everybody's gone. So that's where I would put it.
Great point. It is something that I do wonder about because, and we'll get to this later on in some of these questions as well. Man, I just really wonder what the identity of this offense is going to be because like if I had to guess, I think they will be very run heavy. Like very run heavy. It's really, if we think back to Eli Drinkwitz and what he has been best at, both in his time at Mizzou and previously, it's the run game. That's really his bread and butter. And I think they have a chance to be very good in the run game this year, not only with their running backs, but also regardless of which of the 2 quarterbacks ends up starting. I think they will be helpful in that regard, even more so, honestly, than what Brady Cook was. I think they have a chance to have a very good quarterback running game this year. Is that going to get people out of their seats? I don't think so. Like, that's not generally speaking what I think of when I think back to like that first year. It was, dude, bombs away. Let's go see what Luther Burden can do. You know, let's go see what Theo Weiss can do over the top. Marquise Johnson, what are you going to add in terms of that explosive element down the field? And I think he could bring some of that this year. I'm excited for what he can be for this team. But to go back to my original point, I do think they're going to be very run heavy, and I don't know that necessarily lends itself to excitement when it comes to the offensive coordinator.
Unless everybody buys into the run game, and then Marquise is, hello, I'm over here and I'm very fast. You know, it's just you hope that they can draw those eyes in there and kind of lull defenses in for the big pass. But yeah, I am prepared for a boring run game. If it wins games, it wins games. But yeah, I would like to get excited again. All right, let's go to the other side because you know heading into the season, I think most people are feeling very confident about this defense. And Corey Batoon, last year, to his credit, I don't think he fielded the defense that he wanted. I think some injuries in fall camp limited to, what he wanted to do. And then, of course, during the season, losing Khalil Jacobs was a big deal. So now we're in year 2. And my question for you, BK, Corey Batoon's second year as defensive coordinator will be blank.
Tell me if you think this is aggressive. Corey Batoon's defense, as his second year defensive coordinator, will be remembered as a top 3 defense since Mizzou entered the SEC. Is that too aggressive?
No, that is so good. Tell more. Speak more.
I think they're loaded, dude. I think this defense has the potential to be so good. The defensive line is as deep as I can remember it. Like, the edge unit reminds me so much of those early defenses in the SEC. When they were really good in 2013 and 2014, it was really the defensive ends that were leading the charge. Like, think of all of those guys, Marcus Golden, Shane Ray, and they just had like waves of them, right? Charles Harris eventually got his opportunity, and it was always just somebody new that was stepping up. It kind of feels like they have arrived at that place right now, but it's different because it's not the homegrown people. Like, it's not Coney Ely making way for another guy that was already in the system, which makes way for another guy that was already in the system. No, it's mostly transfers. Like, the guys that you will see taking the field for Mizzou this year, very few of them at the edge position started their careers here. But Darius Harris, Damon Wilson, those guys are from Georgia, and they make them different there. Like, you think about what happened for, God, why am I blanking on his name right now? Georgia defensive end that went to Florida State and is now with the LA Rams.
Not Jared Verse.
Jared Verse, that's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yes. Jared Verse, when he was at Georgia, was not the same player that he became when he left Georgia. Why? Because Georgia had 100 guys in front of him that were future top 50 NFL draft picks. So he just couldn't get the playing time that was necessary to become Jared Verse, right? What if that's Damon Wilson? What if that's Darius Smith, right? Zion Young might be a top 50 pick next year, dude. That guy is a stud. He's a freak. They also have a freshman coming in Javian Hilson, who might play as a true freshman for Mizzou in the SEC at defensive end. This D-line is crazy, and it's really, really good, and it might not even be as good as the linebacker unit, which is incredibly deep. And then you look back at what they have at safety, and it's incredibly deep. And they brought in a guy that might be an all-conference player who nobody's talking about right now, who you mentioned previously, played for UNLV, played for Arkansas. Like, this is unfair what kind of talent they have assembled. Like, they were handed a gift. Tristan Newson is not supposed to be here. He's a legit, like, high-level starting SEC linebacker. They said, goodbye. Thank you so much for your services. That was awesome. Loved every second of having you here. And then he was granted another year, and he's like, hey, you guys want me back? I'm like, hell yeah, like, let's do this. So I think this defense is loaded. They've had units over the last 10 plus years where I look at an individual aspect of it, defensive line, linebacker, secondary, whatever, an individual aspect of it, elite in that area. This might be the first time where I think they could be elite at all three levels. And that's different.
Yeah. So just as an FYI, Missouri has 7 scholarship defensive ends. 5 started their career at a different school. Just throwing that out there. And even then, on the defensive tackle side, on the interior, your 2 starters started at different schools, or your projected starters. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 of your 7 tackles started at a different school. Like, it's just different. It's just different, but the talent is there. I am very excited to see this line. The echoes of D-Line Zoo might finally be coming back. I'm super stoked about that. Okay, so let's get into some specific position groups here. Obviously, the big talk once Brady Cook left was who replaces him, and we've already talked about that a little bit. But I guess in your mind, the quarterback battle in fall camp is blank.
The first time I truly don't know who's going to be starting at quarterback for Mizzou in like a decade. I mean, it's been forever since we've been in a legit quarterback battle. Like, what do you think was the last one that reminded you of this? Like, truly did not know. Because they had the masquerade of one between Brady and Sam Horn, but we all kind of knew where that was eventually going to go.
Yeah, I mean, James Franklin playing Dalton,
That's got to be it, right?
right? Yeah,
That's been,
that was
that was
2011.
2011?
Yeah.
Yeah. Been almost, it's been 15 years, dude. We are old, first of all. And second of
Yeah.
all, like, this is a foreign thing for us. So
Yeah.
I think it's partially why so many were confident that it's going to be Bo Prabula. Like, it's very obviously Bo Prabula because traditionally, tie goes to the runner, right? Like, it's going to be the guy that you think it's going to be. And that's been the case for Mizzou, I don't know, for 20 years. I don't know if that's the case this time around. I mean, Sam Horn was supposed to be this. He was supposed to be the 4-star quarterback that waits his time and eventually becomes the star at Mizzou. And for him, I think there are so many different, there are a lot of breadcrumbs that are being left right now that indicate to me, like, I wouldn't write him off just yet. He signs with the Dodgers and is going to play football this fall. Why would he do that? He's just going to like hang around campus, go to classes, and chill out for the next 6 months when he just got $500,000 to go play for the Dodgers and risk injury, which could ruin his entire like next, year or two for the baseball side of things. I don't know, man. If I'm him, I probably wouldn't do that if I knew I was going to be the backup quarterback this season, but maybe he just loves Columbia, Missouri, I suppose. I think he believes he could start. And I think he believes he could start because he's probably been told, hey, man, there's a real chance you could start here. And you don't give that up because you only get this chance once. It's never coming to you again. So, anyways, it's a long-winded way to say I think it's the first time that I don't really know who's going to start the season in more than a decade.
I mean, Eli Drinkwitz is not helping anything by saying, oh, Matt Zollers might have a shot here.
Well, and then he said later, neither of the quarterbacks, which means neither word choice two. There are 3 quarterbacks if you include Zollers. So, yeah.
I mean, he's going to play this like state secrets like he always does. But yeah, I'm, if you go back to the 2023 season, that was the last time we had a healthy Sam Horn. And there was no way in hell that Brady Cook was not going to be the starting quarterback. And yet they gave Horn an entire half of a game, granted in the opener, but they let him have it and see what he could do. Now, Brady Cook was the starter for the rest of the way, and we really didn't see Horn after that, but he pushed and established Brady Cook seemingly pretty hard. So I think he has the chops to do it. I am with you. I am surprised he's sticking around. If I had that, I'd go, yeah, sure, let's go. But yeah, no, I'm very curious. I'm very curious how it's going to shape up. And I mean, what are the odds that you think you see split quarterbacks in game 1?
100%. Yeah, they're going to split the playing time. I can't report that, but like, I don't want people to think that I know something that I don't. I don't know what they will do. Knowing what we know about Eli Drinkwitz, in that fake competition that they had, they split the time between Sam Horn and Brady Cook early in that season. They will be doing that again. Now, what are the odds that they split time against Kansas? That I think is zero.
Zero.
I think they really wish that they had another game there, most likely, like where they had a, SEMO type of school coming off of Central Arkansas. They don't, so they're going to have to know by week 2, but yeah, I think for week 1, it will be a near certainty they will be splitting reps. My guess is they'll probably do it the way that they did last time. The actual starter will get the first half. The backup will get the second half because the starter will throw the ball, and then the backup will hand it off 30 times in the second half of the game when they're up 35-3.
Yep. God, I was so mad at South Dakota because then they played just sit on the ball for like the entire second half. I was like, God, show me Sam Horn. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Well, we go from quarterback. We go to maybe, probably the most exciting position group, at least based off of the people that I've talked to. We're talking the running backs. And I guess my question for you, BK, is Ahmad Hardy was going to win how many Heismans this year? It's going to be winning like 7 Heismans this year, right? That's totally possible. No, I'm kidding. No, let's legitimately ask. Ahmed Hardy will be blank in his first year at Mizzou.
A 1,200 plus yard rusher this year. I mean, in this offense, if you're healthy and you are the number one running back, you're getting that. And I think he's talented to boot. So you add all of that up. Like Nate Noel ran for 800 yards last year and wasn't healthy for like half the season.
It's true.
If this guy is half as good as they are describing right now, and anything you hear from anybody remotely close to the program is like, dude, this guy is so good. He is so wildly talented. They really, really think he's going to be a stud. So if they believe that, I'll go ahead and follow suit because I have no reason not to trust their evaluations at this point on running backs. They've been really good at it, and they consistently produce big-time runners. I think he has 1,200 plus rushing yards this year.
The only reason he wouldn't is because Jamal Roberts and Marquise Davis siphon away carries. But we have seen Eli Drinkwitz and Curtis Looper manage running backs. It's like a 90-10 carry split. 90% goes to the lead back if he's healthy, 10% to the other two guys. Like, sorry.
And it might not look that way weeks like 1 to 4. When the games really matter, they get into SEC play. Let's put it this way. South Carolina, they'll decide their back. It'll be 90% of the carries going to one guy. And maybe that's not Ahmad Hardy. Maybe they decide, you know what, Jamal Roberts is our guy. I'd be surprised by that, but it's possible, I suppose. They will consolidate at some point in time once they find out who that guy is.
I'm excited to see what he can do. I did not watch a lot of Monroe games last year, I'll be frank. I've looked some up since then, and everybody knew what was coming. And he'd get hit in the backfield, and he'd go another 4 yards after that. And I'm just like, wow, you are an unranked freshman, and this is what you're doing. Yeah, it could be magical. It could be magical. Just, I'm very curious how they divvy that out. So then we get to, the receivers, both the wide receivers and the tight ends. And you have such a big year for 2023, and you have such a quieter year comparatively in 2024. And you do return, your tight ends, and you add an impact transfer in Kevin Coleman, and you still have your speedster in Marquise Johnson. But I don't know, Missouri's receivers and tight ends must blank in 2025.
My answer to this is so boring, but I think it's, for me, the right one. They must produce in the aggregate, Nate. It's such a terrible answer, and it's so not fun. I gave you guys some other fun ones, so hopefully that'll make up for it. But I think the truth, like Marquise Johnson, Joshua Manning, Kevin Coleman, all of these guys are going to get their touches. You add in the tight ends, you add in the running backs in the passing game. We know they'll get them involved in some capacity. Like, none of them have to replace Luther Burden. I think this is the thing that has been kind of lost in translation, is people will look at, well, they're losing Theo Weiss and they're losing Luther Burden. How do they replace those guys? You don't. You don't replace what those two brought to the table. Theo Weiss, in terms of like, hey, it's a third down. Where's it going? Theo. It's going to Theo. You can't replace that with one individual. Hey, they've got to really start figuring out how to produce some offense here. Like, what do we do? Get the ball to Burden. Like, just give it to him behind the line of scrimmage. He'll figure it out. He'll get you 6. Like, it's 2nd and 4 already. I can see it. It's fine. You don't replace that because you don't have Luther Burden on this team. He doesn't exist. There is not another Luther Burden the way that he was, because there hasn't really been one in the last 25 years of Mizzou football the way that he did it. So how do you replace him? With a bunch of dudes taking on a bunch of different roles that those two players had individually. So now, instead of it being 2 guys that bring that to the table, it's like 6 guys that are bringing some of that stuff to the table, right? Maybe the third down guy that you go to this year is Kevin Coleman. Maybe Joshua Manning takes some of the stuff that Theo Weiss was doing down the field. Marquise Johnson, he was involved a little bit last year. Maybe he takes an even bigger step in that area this year. Maybe he takes some of the deep over stuff that used to be the Luther Burden special. Maybe that's Marquise Johnson this year. So I think they have a lot of different players that can take on some of those roles. And now it just becomes a question of, how do they fill them? But it's in the aggregate.
No, I mean, it's a good answer. My answer to this question is just diversify. Like, you had Burden and you had Weiss, and yes, you had Mookie Cooper, but he was more just window dressing. That position just kind of rotated out as whoever. And last year you didn't have that. Now, part of that was because Marquise Johnson was injured for like half the year. And we really did not see him shine until the Iowa game. And you're like, oh, wow, that would have been great to have, at any other point this year. But you could see kind of what he could bring, even on his own. He was such a burner in such great hands. But, I mean, God, you had Theo Weiss had 98 targets last year. Luther Burden had 81. Do you know what the third most targeted receiver had as far as number of targets? You want to take a guess?
Give me those first two numbers again.
So Theo Weiss, 98. Luther Burden, 81.
I think the third most targeted receiver was Marquise Johnson. 40? 35?
Marquise Johnson was fourth with 36. Brett Norfleet was third with 39.
So I was close. That's close to the number.
You were close. But the point is that your third most targeted guy was injured for half the season and didn't even get 40 targets. There's your problem. Point right there. That's the sign. It was not a thing. They did not have a diversification of passing weapons. And once they would bracket Burden and put their best corner on Weiss, that was it. You didn't have anything else. Now, you do have diversification now. They're all babies. Donovan Olugbade, big impact guy. Sean Terry, gadgety speedster. Kevin Coleman, 1 year rental. Like, you've got some options now, but I don't know how you work them in. And I'm not paid to figure that out, but I got to see it. I got to see some diversification. I love a big play receiver. I like it more when you have like 6 guys you can go to and somebody can step up at any game. Love that way more.
It's going to be an interesting year for those guys. They have so many names that could step up. Have you seen any of the stuff coming out of camp? But I'm definitely going to mispronounce his name, so I'm just going to say Donovan O.
Olugbade, I think, is what it is. But yeah, he talented, big hands. Holy cow.
I'm ready to say some wild stuff about that individual. He's going to be very good. He's going to be very good. I don't know how quickly he'll be able to get on the field for this team. I think he'll play this year. I don't know how much. Could be similar to like what we saw with Joshua Manning early on, Marquise Johnson. They all had like kind of bit roles early in their careers. Could see something similar. I think Sean Terry is going to play this year in like maybe like punt return capacity at least. They've got some young, interesting wide receivers, and Donovan O is what I will call him. Kind of like Alberto. Donovan O
there you go.
is going to be a good player.
It's going to be like Donovan O. It's... We haven't even mentioned Xavier Lloyd. That's another 1 year rental by Illinois State, late of Kansas State. Coaches seem pretty excited about him too. K-State was very sad to lose him, but they understood why, because they couldn't get him on the field because they had a lot of talented receivers. There are some options here, which is good. I just don't know what they're going to look like. That's the problem. Okay, so let's get to the other big question, the other battle that Eli Drinkwitz loves to talk about, specifically the left tackle, but just in general. If you're thinking of the offensive line as a cohesive unit, you return Connor Tolson, you have Caden Green, and then you're filling it in with transfers. So Brandon Jones's 2025 offensive line will be blank compared to his previous lines.
Similar. I think that's the way I would describe it. Similar. I don't know that it will be markedly better or markedly worse. I think you look at it, I was looking at kind of what they had previously. So like 23, 24. 23, you had Foster at left tackle. 24, you had Bryan at left tackle. I think it was fair to say in 23, you felt good about that. In 24, you didn't really know what you were going to get in Bryant. You had Delgado as your left guard in 23. He was fine. Caden Green last year, felt pretty good about that. Tollison was your center both years. Cameron Johnson was your right guard both years. Mimbu was your right tackle. I thought Cameron was fine. Mimbu was very good, obviously. He was an excellent right tackle. So in both of those seasons, really, you felt good about like 3 of the spots on your offensive line. And then you had questions at 2 of them. I think that's pretty typical for a good team. Is you feel good about 3 spots, questions on 2. Hopefully they turn out better than you're expecting. I feel the same way this year. Just based on the way that they're talking about it in camp. I feel pretty good about Keegan. Is it Trost or Trost? Do we know?
I've been saying Trost, but I have not heard it said out loud.
Keegan.
Yeah.
Everything that I've heard seems to be fine. He's going to be a legit starter in the SEC. And as long as he's that, dude, just don't make me notice you. If you can make it so I don't really notice you on game day, I feel pretty good about that. Tollison will be good. Caden Green will be good. I'm glad that they're leaving him at left guard. There was no need to bump him out to tackle. He's a really good guard. Keep him at guard. Let's see what this looks like. I have no idea at left tackle what it's going to look like, man. No clue. And I don't love that they seem to have questions right now on who's going to be their starter at left tackle. I would like that to be a little bit more established. Hopefully that's because they have two excellent options. I fear that it's because they have two underwhelming options. Don't love that. And then right guard, like, they seem to be happy with Dominic G. I'll be happy with Dominic G. And in a worst case scenario, if that doesn't go well for them, they seem to be very happy with Tristan Wilson as a backup to any of those interior spots. So I think it'll be similar.
I will take similar. I will take similar every day. Now we've already heaped mounds of praise onto this next position group. So let's lift the expectations. Let's lift the comparisons just a little bit more. This Missouri defensive line is the blank in the SEC.
I'll go with this. Most underrated in the SEC. Most underappreciated in the SEC. I don't know where they will rank because, like, if you want to talk defensive line talent, my God, this conference. It is absolutely absurd. But what stands out about Mizzou this year is they're comparable. Like, for the first time in a while, you can actually look at them relative to their peers in this conference and be like, all right, yeah, they've got the front seven to go toe-to-toe against, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida, Oklahoma, South Carolina. That has not always been the case. Has typically not been the case in recent seasons. So, yeah, I'll say that they are the most underappreciated and the most underrated in the SEC.
I like that answer. I like it when people don't count on Missouri to do something, anything, and quietly being competent and talented and excellent. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. So let's talk about the linebackers, because that's the other spot that we have heaped praise on. You already mentioned, Tristan Wilson was a surprise gift coming back this year. Khalil Jacobs, who was lost halfway through the season, I think it lost against UMass, he's back. And that now you add a second-year Jeremiah Beasley, a second-year Nick Rodriguez, who saw the field. You add freshman of the year from the Big 12, Josiah Trotter. You have Brian Huff in his second year. You have Jason Keene out of DeSmet, Dante McClellan, the four-star out of Canton. Missouri runs a 4-2-5, if I remember correctly, and the 2 is the linebacker, and you've got like 6 options. Like, there's no doubt that the talent is here, but the impact of this talented depth at linebacker is what?
On special teams. I know that's not going to land with most Mizzou fans.
Oh, my heart fluttered. I love it. Keep going.
Do you know how bad Mizzou has been on special teams in recent seasons?
One of the worst, yeah.
They have been so bad. And one of the ways that you can improve that is by improving your depth, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. And what have we been talking about for most of the show today? They have significantly improved their depth on this side of the football. So where you will feel that the most as a fan is by not feeling them getting their asses handed to them repeatedly on special teams, the way that they had been in previous seasons. You'll see, like, they'll probably run they'll run a little bit more of a rotation than they have in previous seasons at the linebacker position. Like, you could see some of that stuff, but I think the place you'll feel it the most is on special teams.
I love that answer. That is such a football answer. Like, complaining about special teams is such a love it. I love it, and I can't wait to see these guys play. Like, Josiah Trotter screaming down the field to knock out some unknowing punt returner who thinks he's got a leg up on us. Like, oh my God, can't wait. I want to talk about the secondary because, while personally I think the additions at safety are really intriguing, there's some left to be desired. Some performances last year, and obviously a year more in the system can do a lot for a lot of players. Like, ask Dalen Carnell. And the corners are not as flashy as they were, but you got a lot of options. The secondary was kind of held back Mizzou at times last year by giving up the big plays. So the secondary this year, this secondary will be a blank for the 2025 defense.
It will be the deciding factor for the 2025 defense. If their secondary is up to snuff, if they figured this out, if these additions were able to stabilize things on the back end, they will be an elite defense in 2025. Like, have a chance to be a top 15 unit nationally in 2025. If they didn't, if the cornerback position is still considered a weakness, if at safety Marvin Burks is still like good against the run, but you just don't know what you're getting from him in the past, and there's going to be situations where you're like, oh, there's number one. Oh, wait, there goes a guy 70 yards down the field, and there's nobody near him. If that still continues to happen, then, for all the praise that we have been heaping on the linebackers and the defensive line, eventually those things work in tandem with your secondary. You need that extra tenth of a second to be able to convert a pressure into a sack, right? And like the other side of this can be true. If you have such an excellent defensive line and you're pressuring the quarterback with such consistency, that allows the corners a little bit more of a margin for error because the quarterback feels like he has to get rid of the ball quicker than he actually does. So they work in tandem. That is absolutely true. It'll be the deciding factor. If these guys are good, they can be an elite unit. If they're not, it'll probably look more similar to what it was last year, which was a good unit, a very good unit, but, not up there with the likes of Bama, Georgia, some of the best in the SEC.
So Missouri football in 2025 will be what?
An enigma. Can you explain something to me?
I'll try.
The win totals are like 6.5.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get that.
What am I missing? Like, explain to me, because you've told me before in the past, BK, it's time to eat our vegetables. You're going to get 7 wins this year, and you're going to like it. Eat your vegetables, right? And I think last time that I came on this show last year, I said, why not 10 wins? And they got 10 wins. So, Nate, I'm not telling you that like they're for sure going to win 10 games this year, anything like that. Why are they going to win 6? What am I overlooking that is a huge concern?
Variance. You don't know what you have on offense. Your head coach specializes in winning close games, and for the first time in a long time, finally lost one last year. All of your hard games or your harder games are at home. Your easier games are on the road, and that same head coach has a kind of a predisposition to look like total dog meat on the road. I think it's a lot of just narrative stuff. And for the first time in a long time, I don't think it's completely unfounded. I think there's a lot of questions about what this staff can do on the road. Yes, there's no doubt that they can portal well, but portal players take about a year to click, and you're going to be relying on a lot on offense. And you already had a great amount of talent on your offense and did not have a very impressive offensive year last year. So I think it's just, he plays a ton of close games. The good teams come to you at home. It's tougher on the road. Like, they're probably just going to drop. They're overdue to drop a few, right? I think that's what the narrative is. And I don't think it's completely wrong. I wish I had a better stat to say this is why this is just a bunch of malarkey, but I don't have one. It's just, that's kind of how it is.
So I'm going to ask you a question that as a fellow nerd, I know the answer to, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Why can't they just be good in one-score games? Why can't this just be a situation where they take care of the football, they don't commit a bunch of penalties, they play excellent defense, and they make good decisions in the clutch? Like, is it possible for a team to just like be good in these one-score games?
Yes, it is possible. It requires elite quarterback play. It requires really smart end-of-game tactics, end-of-half, end-of-game tactics. and it requires one hell of a kicker.
Well,
and for most of Eli Drinkwitz's tenure, he has certainly had two of those things. Sometimes he's got three when he's not forgetting to call a timeout for a field goal.
So I would disagree with the other. I don't think he has had a single elite quarterback.
You don't think Brady Cook's been elite at any time?
Would you say he's been clutch at ball at like game management stuff? I think he's been really good at not giving the ball to the other team. And yes, I think it's fair to say that he's been clutch. I think that's absolutely fair. I think that's probably the aspect of his game that gets most underrated is his ability to make plays in the clutch. I mean, you go back to 2023, think about how many of those he made, whether it be K-State or South Carolina in particular, or excuse me, the Florida game in particular immediately come to mind. But yeah, so I think that part of his game gets underrated. But no, I don't think Brady Cook was ever elite. I think he was good. I think he was a really solid game manager, and I think he was underrated by a good portion of the fan base. But elite, I wouldn't go there.
Yeah, I mean, it's, we have not seen Bo Pribula throw it a lot, and that's something that has been brought up in the interviews for this week, and he acknowledges it. He's like, most of the time I came in and handed it off, so like he knows where he's at. But like, what is he in the clutch? What is he when it's go time? What's he like? Blake Craig, hell of a leg, Greg the leg, right? Under 30. I don't know. We'll see. There's just a lot of questions on who's going to be starting at least. Okay. And until you really figure out what that looks like, and the predisposition of every game is close. Yeah, I understand the sentiment.
If I told you Mizzou's quarterback this year will give you similar overall results to what they had previously been able to get out of Brady Cook, what would you think their record will be this season?
Mostly going to view that from a turnover standpoint.
So they're probably going to go about it differently. Like I think whoever it is will have more rushing production and maybe a little less passing production than you've had over the last couple of seasons when Brady's been healthy. But
yeah, no, I agree. What would I say? 1, 2, 3, 4. I would say 9-3. If well, let's argue it a different way. If Brady Cook came back this year.
That's a great way to
9-3. No question about it. I would just trust him to be able to deliver when it absolutely needed to be delivered.
Who is the fourth hardest game on the schedule?
Fourth hardest?
Because the three hardest, in my mind, maybe you disagree with this. I think the three hardest games on the schedule are South Carolina, Alabama, Texas A&M.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I don't think there's much of a question in those. I think those are like very clearly the three most difficult opponents that you play this year. All three are at home, which helps, but they're going to be really hard games. Who would you say is fourth?
Either Oklahoma or Auburn on the road. Both of those are on the road, but one of those would be the fourth hardest. Arkansas on the road is not far behind that.
Not Vandy. On the road.
Well, remember, that would be you play Alabama, then Auburn on the road, then Vandy. Oh, damn. I'm on the record for saying this is the year Mizzou loses to Vandy, by the way. So, yeah.
This is the year as if it hasn't happened before.
Shut up. Shut up. I have no recollection of what you are talking about.
As I mentioned earlier, the hard thing to figure out with this conference is not who the top three teams are going to be. I think we all know. The hard part with this conference is figuring out who among LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Mizzou, Auburn, Arkansas is going to be the next 2 to 3 teams. Because that's what matters. And my honest to God answer is I don't know. I think Texas A&M will be up there. I think Texas A&M, for me, would be the team that I would pick to be like the fourth team in the conference right now.
I got them going to the playoff. I think they're great.
I totally agree with you. South Carolina, dude, you don't have to do a hard sell with me on Lenora Sellers. I think he should be the #1 overall pick next year. That guy is not just good, special. Like special talent written all over him. So if you told me, hey, they're 5th in the conference, cool. I will buy that. That is not a hard sell for me at all. And then, like, who next? I don't know. Could it be Mizzou? Sure.
Could be.
Yeah. All of these teams have so many questions to me. And like you mentioned Auburn. I don't trust their quarterback. I trust their coach. I think he's going to get a lot out of that offense. Like even last year, the offense, if it wasn't throwing up all over itself, it was highly productive. Like they were running, they were getting up and down the field, and then they would like pour out a gas canister, light some matches, and see what happens. And sometimes it would be beautiful, and other times you're like, dude, what is going on? So I don't know. Dude, can I ask you a question about Oklahoma real quick?
Yeah.
I know we've gone almost an hour.
That's all right.
Is their quarterback good?
Yeah.
John Maytier.
Yes. He plays with such reckless abandon. He is one of those few guys that I'm like, I can tell you're having a lot of fun right now. And that is a dangerous guy to go up against.
I'm not telling you you're wrong because I don't know. I can't think of a player more productive that has more people that are like so divided on either he's elite, like one of the best quarterbacks in the country, kind of elite, or this guy is not good and will be figured out in the SEC this year and is going to throw like 15 interceptions and will be like hurt by week 5.
Okay.
So I have no idea. I have no idea what to do with him.
Against like Weber State, he was like launching himself ass first to like get a extra yard for a first down. I'm like, John, stop. But like, I mean, elite? No. But he, adjusting that yards per pass, 8.5 last year. That was basically what Brady Cook was doing in 2023. He takes a lot of sacks.
That he played though.
It was Washington State. I know that. He takes too many sacks. He's got an 8.2% sack rate. Lost 206 yards for sacks. Like that's a lot.
God.
At the same time, he ran for over 1,000 yards.
Okay, that's good.
You got to take out the sack yards to get there, but he ran for 1,032 yards and 15 touchdowns. That's 7 yards per carry. He has a 65% completion percentage, threw for over 3,100 yards. Okay. Like, I know he was playing scrubs. He also was playing with scrubs. It's Washington State.
Touché.
That's that. And then he brought his offensive coordinator with him. Arbuckle's great. That dude's on a rocket ship to the top of the moon, man. Like he's only going to be at Oklahoma for a couple of years. So I don't know what he's going to do against an SEC defense because we haven't seen that yet. But there's nothing more dangerous than a dude who's just having fun. And that's him.
All right. Let's go through this. You want to do the schedule real quick?
Let's do it.
Let's do our win-loss.
Yeah.
Central Arkansas. We're
prediction. We're going to call that a win. Yeah.
Don't
feel good about that one.
Coward. Say it. Say what you want to say, coward. All right. Want to know. You want to get to week 2?
Time out. Did you see the malarkey on the social media about Mizzou goes 11-1 with the loss being Kansas, and almost half of the Mizzou fan base saying that's unacceptable? That's got to be a joke, right?
Okay. I'm so glad we're on the same side on this.
Okay.
I thought you were about to go the other way. I should have known better. I know you would never do that. I couldn't believe it. That would be like one of the 3 best seasons in the history of Mizzou football.
Yeah.
You know what would be really cool? Going to the college football playoff and having a chance to play the biggest game in the history of the program.
Yeah.
And that's what would happen. Yeah. And if I have to forfeit playing against, dude, they could beat Mizzou by 50. And I would not care.
Ask Ohio State if you'd rather lose to your rival and win the national championship. Like they would take that.
And hey, to be fair, like Ohio State fans were ready to run off their coach after that happened.
Sure.
I get in trouble for this because like people think I view Mizzou as this like stepping stone program. I don't. I think it's a good program, but it's not Ohio State. You're not. I'm sorry, but this program is not Ohio State, has not been Ohio State. I hope to God, I pray every day that it will one day become Ohio State. That would be awesome. Like if Mizzou becomes the Oregon of the SEC and it's like this new blood and they're one of the teams like, wait, every year you have to have them. They're in the mix, right? I would love that. They're not that yet. So in the meantime, I'm not going to give up an 11-1 season because we lost to a rival. No.
I'm glad we're on there. Take 11 win seasons when you can, however you get it. Nothing else matters. I'm going to say this is a win, mostly because it's at home, mostly because it's early. Kansas is dealing with a lot of similar problems as Mizzou, except kind of the inverse. They return their quarterback, but everybody else is kind of gone. There's going to be a lot of sifting through stuff, and they're not going to be settled by the time they get to Columbia. I'm just going to assume home turf wins out, and it'll be close. It'll be uncomfortable, but it'll be a win.
I agree. I think this is going to be a really annoying football game. I think Mizzou fans are not going to enjoy this one a whole lot. And I think you're going to leave saying to yourself, what just happened? And why did it happen that way? I think it could feel kind of similar to the Vandy game last year.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, we're better than this team. Why are we not pulling away? But yeah, I think they win it. All right, 2-0. Louisiana, you think they win?
Yes, I think it's another annoying game, but I think they win.
I agree. Week number 4, South Carolina at home.
I'm going to have to go intangible on this one. Eli Drinkwitz loves trophies. It's at home. They win. Imagine like the most nefarious butt horseshoe moment in Eli Drinkwitz's life.
Well, it's a South Carolina game, so one of the teams is going to have that.
That's right. Right.
It's the only way that it can go.
That's right. I think he gets it. I think he gets it.
This rivalry is so good, dude. I love it so much. It's genuine. It's real. It's not like completely made up with some big ass trophy that they have to wheel onto the field at the end of the game. There's not coaches getting fired at the end of the game every single time that it's played. It's awesome. I love it so much. And both teams are now where they were. It reminds me so much of like 2013, 2014, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where both teams are kind of vying for that spot in the SEC that everybody is trying to get to, and everybody's trying to push both of them down. We're like, not your time. And then both teams are like, no, it kind of is, though, actually. We're really good. I love it. It's great. I think they lose.
Wow. Okay.
I think they lose. I told you earlier, I'm such a huge Lenore Sellers fan. Like, I can't.
He's great.
He's great against him. All right. So I've got him 3-1. You've got him 4-0.
Yes.
UMass. Just move on. I'm at 4 wins. You're at 5. Alabama.
Loss.
I'm at 3-2. You are at 4-1, if I have my math correct. At Auburn.
Loss.
Okay. That is the one where we'll flip again. I've got that as a win on the road. I know they're not eligible to win football games on the road, especially their first one that they travel on the road for the SEC.
Exactly.
I remember I was old enough to remember, I don't know, a year ago when they went to Texas A&M, and it didn't go well, I would say. It was also like the weirdest football game I've ever seen. So, but anyways. All right, so we're both at 2 losses now. At Vandy. Don't do it.
Loss. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've got that as a win. You've got them 3 losses. I've got 2. Texas A&M at home. Loss. You've got 4. I've got 3. Mississippi State.
Win. God, that's a brand new team, and they still suck. I don't even know what to tell you.
Yeah, I loved your write-up on them. Mississippi State. They were bad last year, but they don't return anybody, but they're probably going to be bad again, but it'll be a new kind of bad.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
At Oklahoma. Come on.
Let's do a win. Let's do a win. We'll do a win.
You can't have them losing at Auburn, Vandy, and Oklahoma.
I could, but I'm not going to. It's going to be a win.
For me as well. At Arkansas.
I want to say win. That's another team that's just overhauling everything. And what are they playing for? Sam Pittman's probably going to be on his way to getting fired at that point. I'll say win. Tough game. It'll be a win.
I'm going to win as well. I've got 9-3. You got 8-4. Is that right?
8-4. Yep.
It's not a show that we do together without me being slightly more optimistic.
It's just like old times. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, all like you said, the middle class of the SEC is just a couple plays away from everybody falling out into different little pieces. The timelines, the various timelines you can get with a butterfly flapping its wings in China is just innumerable. They're so close. They're so close. And I think, just a couple games here or there can completely reshape the entire conference. So yeah, sitting here 8-4, I'd take it. Frankly, I would take it. I'm concerned, that all these transfers don't work out and something falls apart, and you get into a skid and you can't steer out of it because you're a bunch of new guys playing together. That's my worst fear for this season. But also, it's like I've done with all these previews. Hey, if these transfers click, it's going to work really, really well. And that's an option too.
I wasn't even going to go there. I was just about to say, what if the quarterback is good?
Yeah, what if he's good? Yeah.
Dude, I don't think we've really spent a whole, not like us today, but in general, I don't think Mizzou fans have spent much time this offseason thinking about, what if we got better at the quarterback position? Which is entirely possible.
Could be.
Sam Horn could be better this year than Brady Cook was either of the past 2 seasons. Bo Prabula might just be a better version of Brady Cook.
Yep.
A faster, stronger, more stable, maybe a slightly better arm version of Brady Cook. And if you get that, man, that's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
And you can win a lot of football games with that plus a pretty dominant defense. A lot, 10 football games, if that's the kind of formula that you have. You could pull off an upset with that. You could beat South Carolina or A&M or Bama, one of them, with that kind of a formula. So could be fun. Could be a lot of fun.
We will find out in 28 days? Is that where we're at? 30 days. 30 days. Yeah. I know. There's a lot of downsides to getting old. One of the upsides is that time just flies by. And instead of, thinking that the summer break took forever, it feels like the season stopped last month, and now we're starting right back up again. So yeah, this is great. This is great. Okay. So, final thoughts, parting thoughts. What's the last thing you want to tell people before you go into podcasting hell for another year?
Podcast. Parting thoughts. Even if Mizzou goes 7-5 this year, that doesn't mean Eli Drinkwitz is a bad coach. That would probably be, because I can already feel it. Mm-hmm. Mizzou this year loses to South Carolina. They lose to Alabama. They lose to Auburn. They lose to Texas A&M. They lose one game to either Oklahoma or Arkansas. They go 7-5 this season. A few of those losses are close games, and most of those losses came on the road. And you think to yourself, oh, well, they had Luther Burden and they were good. They lose Luther Burden, and look, Eli Drinkwitz goes back to his 500 BS stuff that I didn't enjoy then and I don't enjoy now. I don't think that's who he is. Sometimes weird seasons happen, and sometimes you play the transfer roulette game and you lose. And sometimes you have a year where you don't have the quarterback. And when you don't have the quarterback at Alabama, you win 9 games. And when you don't have the quarterback at Mizzou, you win 6 or 7. So if this goes wrong, and they got the quarterback position wrong, or, some of the transfers on the offensive line or the transfers in the cornerback room, whatever it may be, don't work out the way that they thought they would, or there's injuries that take place that take away some of the depth that we're talking about, and now they're a little more thin than we expected. Whatever the case may be, if he wins 7 games, that doesn't mean he's a dunce. It might just mean it was a weird season.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. So before I get you out of here, let's do a reassessment here. There are many places people can read and listen to you. What are these? Everybody pull out a pen and paper. Where can we find you, BK?
Yeah, so the biggest thing, my actual job, my day job, the one that pays me primarily, that feeds my family, and that I would really enjoy it if you would listen or subscribe or however it is that you do these things. Watch us on YouTube, whatever. I am the co-host of BK and Ferrario weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's on 101 ESPN in St. Louis. If you are not located in St. Louis, that is totally fine. They have ways for you to watch or listen to our show nowadays. You can either Google 101 ESPN, and when you do so, they will have a way for you to stream our show online. On your phone, you can do an app, or you can listen to it on your computer. However it is you want to listen. Hey, you want to tell Alexa to play 101 ESPN in St. Louis? You can do that too. All of that is possible for you. Or you could go on YouTube and watch us. Just YouTube, put in the search engine 101 ESPN. You'll find us. We stream live every single day on video as well. If that's not your cup of tea, you don't like listening to the Cardinals talk, you don't like listening to the Blues talk, whatever, cool. I also write about the Kansas City Chiefs. I do so for Arrowhead Pride. I do so as part of their premier network, so you have to subscribe to it. But if you go to Arrowhead Pride, you will find the subscription tab. You can do that over there. And then every Wednesday, I have a column that is written as part of their newsletter that'll be sent into your email. If that doesn't fit your cup of tea, I think this might. I also am a columnist for the Alton Telegraph in Alton, Illinois. It's a wonderful little town, and they have given me the opportunity to write a column for them every single week throughout the Mizzou football season. It is about Mizzou football. That's it. It will just be like a Mizzou football-based column every single week. So if you're interested in that, feel free to subscribe. It's available for you online. It was an award-winning column last year, by the way. We did indeed get an award for that one. So
burying the lead. That. Oh my gosh. Award-winning columnist BK. Oh my God. He's on my show. Oh, we're famous now, BK.
No big deal. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but just wanted to make sure that we were aware of that it did indeed win an award last year.
Hang the banner. It flies forever. BK does good work. Go pay him money to do good work. It's worth it, I promise. But that's the show for today. As always, we appreciate the downloads and the subscriptions. You can leave a comment or rate us. We love all types of feedback from you all. You can follow us on Twitter still. I'm at Nate Edwards. He's at BK Sports Talk. And, of course, you can follow the Rock'em flagship at Rock'em Nation, the podcasting outlet at Rock'em Radio. We appreciate you tuning in this time. We'll try to do better next time. And until then, MIZ.
ZOU.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rock M Radio, a proud partner of Fans First Sports Network. Rock M Radio is the official podcast network of Rock M Plus, a new and exciting subscription service provided by me and the other voices of Rock M Radio. Please take a few moments to head over to rockm.plus and sign up for an account today. The cost is only $5 a month, and the benefits include access to our live podcast, a subscriber-only message board, weekly newsletters, and more. If you enjoyed this episode of Rock M Radio and would like to see more just like it beamed directly into your personal device, make sure to click the subscribe button below and tell your friends. Our podcast feed is available through the Apple Podcast app for iPhone, Google Podcast app for Android, whatever app you listen to your podcast. You can also find Rock M Radio on Spotify. If you're looking for a podcast about your favorite team that is not Missouri Tigers, Fan First Sports Network is your answer. A full podcast network loaded with the team-specific podcasts covering Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, and more. And we'll be back with more episodes of Rock M Radio coming to you soon.